Alrighty people, so today I am going to go over with you how to realistically grow from a monetary standpoint while you're helping out the environment. Nowadays you're like, well, maybe I can't afford something. How can I start to slowly get there in order to make that change that I want? In order to get to bigger milestones? It doesn't happen overnight, and you can't just cut cold turkey. You can't just say, I'm gonna go out and buy everything in the world, it's eco-friendly, and get rid of everything. No. That's not how it works at all, and you can't do that because of this factor. And let me express it, and let me break this down. So at one point in time, let's say at this very second, so we see this very second, there's little, we'll call him Fred. Fred at this second is not only in the present, but he's also in the past and in the future. And people will say, there's no way at one single point in time, one single second, one single snapshot, how can he be both in the past and the future? How is that even possible? And when you think about it, your brain, or whom you are, has been created from your past. And simultaneously, at the present standpoint, you are growing for the future. Your brain is creating new neural networks. You are creating your new future. So at any one moment, you are in your past and in your future. That's why you have to accept your past and think, and if you want to create new, then you can create new. What we tend to get stuck in is in this cycle of present moment is in the past, and we go to the past and the past. And that's when you tend to get depressed, because you continue this past life cycle as if there's no future. But then people who have anxiety tend to have this future mentality. And then what ends up happening is they're never in this present moment, and they never feel grounded because of the fact that they're always going back, or they're never grounded because they're never going to something that they know. They're not like rooted down, they're in the future. So what happens is, as humans, we have to accept that at any point in time, if you took a snapshot, we are in the present, but yet at the same time in the past and in the future. Because who you are and who your personality is based on a lot of different things. It's based on where you are at that moment. It's based on who you and how you grew up. And the future is where you want to go and what you're working towards. And this is very, very important, especially when we want to grow from a monetary standpoint and an eco-friendly monetary standpoint. So I'm going to break this down. If you think about it, at this point in time, let's say Fred has $100. And Fred wants to spend that money. What we want to do is we want to break that up between the past, the present, and the future. Why is this so important? This is very important because you have to spread your money across all of your dimensions. Because if you're only in one, let's say you're only in the present moment, you can spend all your money and now you have $0 for tomorrow. And then what do? You can also spend all your money on your woes, your past experiences. Let's say you put $100 in this. Next thing you know, you keep reliving your past over and over and over again. And you say, well, this is who I am. This is who I am. Well, you'll never grow to who you want to be if you put all your money towards this. So instead, what you want to do is you want to distribute it across. You could also put all your money in here, but what happens if you have all your money in the future? You have nothing in the present, which means you have no money to eat. And then if you're putting it in the past, you not only have no money to eat, you're also repeating bad cycles that maybe you don't want, or you could want them. It just ultimately depends. So from a monetary standpoint, what you want to do is you want to put your money in different buckets. You want to satisfy your current, at that snapshot point needs, because your soul has to be fulfilled. It has to be happy. So you want to put a certain percentage towards this. And this is where you truly can decide. You can decide what percentages you want. So let's say you want like let's say 35 here. You could say 35% there of this 100. And then let's say here, you want another 30%. So then you have 65, and then the rest, you can put here. So if you break it down, you look at it like this. If you see someone's algorithm of how they spend their money, they're saying, I'm going to continue my past cycle buying stuff related to non-eco-friendly, and let's say present, it could be a combination of different things. It could be eco-friendly. It could be non-eco-friendly. But at that moment, you're buying this thing to satisfy your current state in order to survive. Then you have your future of what you want to see. So then you buy something, or you put your money into something that, let's say you want something eco-friendly. This is assuming that you want your future to be eco-friendly. You want the earth to survive so you can survive. That assumption. And I'm assuming people want to survive. So I'm assuming if they want to survive, they're gonna, take care of the earth. But that's none of my business, is it? I don't know, man. So you get down to this algorithm. Well, not algorithm, but you get down to these percentages of how do you want to piece your existence. At that snapshot in time, when you have a certain amount of presence, what are you going to do? Some people tend to load up their future a lot. And that's okay. Some people are on this edge. They want to continuously grow. They want to innovate new things. There's so much future bound. They're very, very creative. That's what they like. That's what they enjoy. Some people, they're very just present moment. That's why they don't care if they spend all their money and they don't have any money in the bank. They're cool with that exact present moment. Even though at any present moment in snapshot in time, you're actually in 3 different forms at one time. And some people have their past. They say, well, this is who I am now. Like, let's say if you were a football player or a basketball player in high school, and that's who you became. You became that basketball player. It became part of you because all you ever did was you dribbled the ball all the time. So your brain got used to it. So that was part of you. It became your personality, all the people you're around, all of your teammates. So that became your past. And some of that is still with you. And that's why at any present moment, you still have your past with you. And in any moment in the snapshot, you also have your future with you. Because you always have in your mind, like, where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? What's the next thing I want to do? What do I want to explore? You have different paths that you can take. There's actually a funny diagram you'll see that they tell you. It's like this. And they'll show you. You'll have your here, and you have 80% of people here. You have your 10% here, and you have your 10% here. This model is not accurate in terms of this, percentage-wise, in terms of like if someone's in the present, someone's in the past, someone's in the future. Not like that. This is more of just showing how similar and how correlation matches with this to this. So let's say at any snapshot in time, you have one individual. They are both their past and they're both their present and they're both currently where they're at. That makes them their present being. But also, if you look at a global scale, you have the whole of society. In majority of the time, you always have over here, you have your innovators, you have your creators, you have those people creating like just different, applications. They create stuff. That's who they are for a living. And then you have 80% of people who they tend to be employed by these individuals who create things because they want to establish new ideas and innovations. And they're okay with that because they're very happy with their present moment. They're very happy with having a comfort zone. And remember, any stage you're at, it's okay. It just depends on where you want to get. And then here is the 10%. You could say they lag behind. You could also say they don't want to change. But sometimes what they define themselves at in the past is where they define themselves going forward. So it might just take them a little longer, and that's okay. We do not mind moving slower. Everyone has their own pace. But you have to figure out where you're at. And that defines how you ultimately buy stuff from an eco-friendly standpoint. So if you think about it, if you want to buy something eco-friendly, and let's say you want to go to the grocery store and you have a whole list of stuff you want to buy. And with that whole list of stuff, you only have, let's say, $80 to spend. So let's say out of these $80, you want to put some money into your bad habits. In your past doesn't always have to be bad, it could also be good. So let's say, we're just gonna put past as bad even though it's not. Let's say $80 you wanna put into your future, your liveliness, your growth. Maybe you buy $30 worth of vegetables and fruits, veggies and fruits, because you wanna nourish your body. You wanna keep going forward. And you also wanna make sure the planet is all good and it keeps re-nourishing itself. Let's say you spend $10 on that. And then let's say you have a bad habit of eating a lot of junk food, or you have a past of reoccurrence that you subconsciously continuously go to the same products. Let's say you use a certain deodorant that's not eco-friendly. Let's say you buy clothes that aren't eco-friendly. Let's say you do something and buy something because of what you're used to and your subconscious and not what you're consciously aware of and what you're buying into. And let's say out of this, that is $30, $40, and then the rest, the other $40, goes to your past. If you looked at this and you're okay with going a little bit slower to the eco-friendly side, monetarily, then this looks like the semi-okay model. Or let's say, for instance, monetarily, you just cannot afford to put all your money into eco-friendly things in the future because they cost too much. And why do they cost too much? Because the majority of the population is not demanding for them. When the demand goes up and there's supply, the value will drop. It's just like a Rolls Royce or something like that. If they're very rare, the value is going to be extremely high. But if they're not rare, the value is going to be lower. So if you move towards more eco-friendly things and more people move towards it, the price will drop. But for now, it doesn't. So what happens is you have to put your money aside for your future. You have to put a percentage, and you have to consciously, knowingly know you're putting it towards that. So for instance, let's say you want to buy a deodorant, or let's say you want to buy toothpaste or a toothbrush or detergent, eco-friendly detergent. Maybe at that moment in your life, that week, that month, whenever you buy your detergent, you don't have the money for it. So since you can't put more money into your future, you can't put any more percentage into your future, you have to either use what you have at the present moment or fall back onto your past, what you're used to doing, your cycle. And ultimately, a lot of people tend to fall into this, sort of like that 80% we saw before. What happens is they fall into this because they can't afford this, or because what they do is they put too much money on their past instead of putting more energy into what they currently want for their future. And that's in anything. You put more of your money, or if you put more of your energy and time into something in the past, it's going to continue. The same cycles are going to continue. But if you put your money towards something new and you continue that pattern and you're consciously aware of it, then that will start to grow. So let's say you go to the store and you want to buy new toothpaste. The toothpaste out of this is $10 and you're like, $10? I have to buy all my groceries for $80 and $10. Some people, you can spend up to like thousands of dollars at the grocery store. I'm just using this because it's $80, you know, it's just simple. I could use 100, you know, whatever. So you have $80 and you're like, out of that, how much percentage is that? Oh my days, that's a lot of money. And you're like, I don't know if I can afford that because then I only have $70 left for the rest of my groceries. And you're like, what do I do? You determine if that's the percentage you want to put towards your future. If that's the percentage you want to see the future of a eco-friendly society. If you can't afford that, that is okay. What you do is you go and you look at your percentages and you see, what can I afford? Where do I want to go? And maybe if you do want to go next time in the future, you want your algorithm to be different. So let's say here you have 50% here, 10% here. Well, let's say 50% here, 40% here, 10% here. And in the future, you want to be more eco-friendly monetarily, but your algorithm looks like this. What you slowly have to do is you have to change it percentage by percentage, little by little, to get there. You just want to change it little by little every single time you go. And what does that mean? Maybe instead of picking up an extra bag of chips, you put the chips aside and you say, what in the present moment makes me happy for my past and my future self? Or maybe you get to a point to where you say, I can't afford that deodorant, and maybe I don't need that extra bag of chips or whatever that I'm used to getting, even though I really don't need it because it's reinforcing a bad habit. Instead, you put that aside and you look at your algorithm. You tell yourself, what percentage do I want? Where do I want to go in the future? And slowly, you'll get to a point to where your whole past, present, and future is completely eco-friendly. But until you're there, you have to slowly move there. Because if you don't, what ends up happening is you get stuck in these past cycles. You don't really get to live in the present moment, and your future is undetermined by you because you let your subconscious determine it by you or for you. And not only that, but when you get in the cycle of all of this is the one same thing of eco-friendly, it becomes a sustainable cycle monetarily. The bill actually goes down because now you need less things. Fewer things sustain you longer. So what does that mean? Let's say if you eat a lot of meat and you start to reduce that meat, and over time you're eating a lot of plant-based, your health overall, especially like cardiovascular, everything, inflammation, it will decrease. So as you're eating better, your dollar value for what you have to pay for your health, and this isn't for everything, like sometimes people have health problems, like it doesn't matter what they eat, but we're saying, let's say what you eat affects your health directly, no other variables in it, then your health bill will go down and you'll have more money to spend on other things that you want built into the world. But if you don't use some sort of model, or if you don't use in your head something like, maybe I'm gonna put those bag of chips down because I don't really need them. Maybe I'll go buy a bamboo toothbrush because I wanna be eco-friendly, or maybe I can't afford a cloth bag today, but instead I won't buy that extra shirt and I'll buy the cloth bag. And maybe I don't actually need that shirt. It's just asking ourselves, do we want to put our money in the past, the present, or the future? And you can put it against everything. It just ultimately depends where you're at. But you have to start thinking that at one point in time, we're at various places and stages. Because if I ask someone at that present moment who they are, they're gonna bring up stories from their past. They're gonna bring up things that they want to do in the future or that they look up forward to. And you're gonna see in the present moment exactly who they are. And that's why it is so important to understand and look at this model for what it is and say, hey, we can get there monetarily. It just ultimately depends on the decisions that we're making. The decisions and the priority of which we're putting our money towards. If we wanna put it towards our future and eco-friendly things, or if we wanna just continue sort of with the past. And it all just sort of depends on your perspective, what you wanna do. If you want a better world. And even though $80 doesn't seem like a lot, say 1 million people. What is 80 times 1 million? Come on guys. Like, it gets bigger and bigger. If we all start to just think in a different manner and understand money as a priority instead of what you fall back on or what you're used to, then you won't have problems as much monetarily, and we won't have as many problems when it comes to the ecosystem, because now we're thinking from a monetary perspective and our energy perspective. Where are we putting our money? Where am I putting my energy towards? The past, the things I don't want, or the better future that I do want? Or do you want to put it in that exact moment? And it ultimately depends on your perspective. Again, this is just all perspective. So take it with a grain of salt. And if you want to take this model, feel free to take it. Feel free to use it, implement it in your daily practices. I implement it all the time because sometimes I can't afford things that I want to. So I ask myself, how can I get there? And I have to do this model slowly. and then you can get there. You can grasp where you want to go. And to be honest, that's okay. We're all at different points. We can all do different things, and that's the beauty of it. So I hope you guys got something out of this. Peace.